Welcome back to Adventure Now in the lovely town of Alesund in Norway.
It appears we turned up in Alesund right at the time of a festival, and I'm trying not to be middle-aged when I say this, but it was very noisy last night. And there are a lot of people who were on the piss. But not us. We posted the video and had a sensible night, early-ish in bed, and now we're up early to avoid the tourists, and we're going to climb some steps and have a look at the view of Norway's Venice. That's how this has been described to us.
We'd been in the Norwegian wilderness for quite some time, so having everything on our doorstep was a novelty, and right behind the town was a steep climb up Mount Axla.
I am sweating already thinking about the 418 steps, so jumper is off.
Well, don't sweat too much because we've got someone putting us to shame here who's running up and down.
This year's been a grand adventure to pastures far and new. We had a dream to sail up north to a place only visited by few. We found everything we hoped for. We are grateful the north was tame, and now that chapter is behind us, we will simply begin again. Alesund is a unique place with a colourful history, and some people say that it's the most beautiful city in Norway. Others say that the view from the top of these steps is one of the best in Norway. Historically speaking, probably the best known event is the Great Fire of Alesund in 1904. But prior to this, Alesund was said to be the birthplace of the famous Viking Rollo. In the year 918, Rollo and his mates set out in a huge fleet of longships and laid siege to Paris. As a peace offering, the French king offered them a large tract of land which became known as Normandy, and Rollo was its first duke. Now though, it's not the Vikings that keep watch over this beautiful archipelago, it's the Norwegian poet Christopher Randers.
Alesund burned down to the ground in 1904 as it was entirely built of wood. It was rebuilt after out of brick and stone, and now it is known as Venice of Norway. And it's so beautiful, it was totally worth climbing up the 418 steps to see this.
Well, goodbye Venice.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everybody's gone, it's Sunday night. Everybody rushing back to their normal life. And so are we. Normal life outside of towns.
There you go. Another one ticked off the list. They keep flying by. We did say that that was our last port of Norway. But now we're going to anchor up because we've got some wind for the wrong direction coming. And we think we found a rather nice place to be. So, off we go.
We all know that first impressions last, and we have been warmly welcomed by the Norwegian people wherever we have been. But not just by the Norwegian people.
We found a beautiful little bay here with two very small pontoons where we nosed Altor right up and hid from a westerly wind and the swell that was rolling through. And I've got a friend down here. What's up with you? What are you kicking me for? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Very cute. Nice to have some company.
Trained by the Norwegian Tourist Board to welcome visiting yachtsmen to this island, these Norwegian goat ambassadors do a fine job.
Hello. Hey. Hello. Hello.
So all this time I've been trying to catch a fish because I had goat curry. Yeah, see, if you had a hand, I bet you'd scratch yourself there, wouldn't you?
Now we could have made a fuss of these friendly goats all day, but it was dinner time.
It seems we told a bit of a porky pie about Alesund being our last stop in Norway. We had a nice little night on that pontoon.
And now we're heading about 15 miles away to a little bay, which is halfway to an even nicer little bay, which we'll probably do tomorrow. Because we haven't got any weather to go across to Scotland, so we may as well just keep closing the gap and heading south a bit more. It's nice and warm, t-shirt is on now that we're south. Well, I say south, we're on the latitude of the Faroe Islands, but it's lovely and warm today, isn't it?
It is. Fabulous.
Asher is right, it was fabulous. Whoever said you can have too much of a good thing has obviously never cruised the coast of Norway. We stared in wide-eyed wonder wherever we went, and still we hadn't had enough. It's a treat for us being this far south. It's so mild, it's absolutely gorgeous. Just cruising down this fjord, looking for our anchorage, which I think is about 2 miles ahead of us and should be tucked in amongst loads of little islands. Hopefully it'll be quite nice. If anyone has worked out the answer to the big question, then please let me know. But in the end, what is this all about? I believe we are the sum of our experiences, and if that is the case, then what do we want our totals to be? Do we want to be the total sum of our time in the office? Or the total sum of our time being angry, jealous, or envious of other people? None of these things sound very appealing to me. Surely then, it should be the sum of our love for our fellow human beings, and our love for the beautiful world that we live in. And so it follows that in order to arrive at the correct total, we need to be kind to ourselves and to each other, and fill our lives with these two ingredients. And that to me sounds like a happy ending. And come on, we all like those.
'Cause we got love.
Look at those naughty rocks.
'Cause we got love. You wanna get to me close? Why don't you do it right now? You know we met for a reason, but you trying to deny that we should be together. It's heavy weather we're heading for tonight. You better take what you can, 'cause the time is right now.
Just a gentle drift in. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, but this is the last time. This is our last stop in Norway before we push off to Shetland. And the strange thing about it is that actually it looks like Scotland. We've got this purplish kind of heather, the normal Scottish kind of mountainside, and we've even got midges. So Asha's moving around like she's got ants in her pants because we're trying to keep the midges off. But it's a beautiful place. Lovely little harbour. Totally quiet, totally peaceful. And this is a wonderful way to say our farewells for now to Norway. The sign is self-explanatory, I guess. I spoke to a local earlier, and the tunnel which is up the hill here was only built in the 70s, and before that it was a low road that ran round near the sea, and the post lady from years ago had a rock fall on top of her car and it went all the way through the roof and all the way through the floor, and they decided that the rock falls were dangerous enough for them to build a tunnel, even though there are only 40 people that live here now, and I think the maximum people that lived here was 200, and that was over 30 years ago. So it's an expensive tunnel for a few people. What's that about?
We have to hurry up because of the bread. We started too late this filming trip and the sun is setting.
Well, we'll go out to the breakwater, have a look.
Yeah, let's go.
It's a really cool spot here. Very, very little traffic that comes in, maybe 5 cars a day. And we know that because there's a cattle grid right outside where the boat is. So we hear every car that comes in, and there aren't many. This cracking and perfectly sheltered little harbour is almost on the most western part of the Norwegian mainland, and suited us perfectly as our jumping off point back to the Shetland Islands. So this is where we decided to wait for our window to go across and to say our goodbyes to Norway after an absolutely fantastic few months of cruising here.
Norway turned out to be a fantastic destination. All the places, whether recommended or not, were so beautiful, every one of them. But it's now time to say goodbye, and we are getting ready for a departure to the Shetland Islands.
And that happens, I think, not tomorrow but the next day. We do find ourselves in these situations where all of a sudden we're saying goodbye, and after 3 months we're here. So this is our last port of Norway. We've been saying that for a while, but this really is the last one. Thank you, Norway. It's been so good, and we're going to be back.
Know me. Take the time to dig deep underneath this red heat. We could really meet.
So here we are, leaving the magnificent land that is Norway in our wake. After 3 months of incredible experiences that make for lasting memories, we slipped away from her shores and into the night.
We've been going for 7 hours, made some reasonable progress. The dark night is giving way to the early morning light, which is such a treat. As usual, with working our way south, we have relied on Perkins. We've worked quite hard, but finally peace has been restored on board. We've got 11 or 12 knots of breeze. Perkins is having a rest. Ash is just up from hers, and we're sailing.
Yeah, it was a breezy forecast, so we had 2 reefs in the main, but it wasn't necessary because the forecast didn't deliver. So now we have shaken out the reefs and we are sailing nicely.
Cool, isn't it? So
yeah,
nice.
It's so pleasant.
Well, it's a joint effort. There's a 2-day-old curry turned into a Indian shepherd's pie, and your salad on a slightly rocky ship, but it's not too bad. All yours.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Beautiful sunny evening, and we are cruising at about 6 knots towards the Shetland Islands, and it's very exciting because those islands eluded us for the past 2 seasons. We sort of aimed at them coming back from the Faroe. Oh, that's not a good idea, that's gonna crash the camera. But now we are 60 miles away from Lerwick, and it looks like we're gonna make it.
Love is lovely when it starts. Come with an open heart and give romance a chance and get to know me just for me.
It's nearly 10 p.m. and it's lovely dusk. And I'm wondering where is our northerly, because now the wind is nearly from the aft, so this is easterly. Where are you, northerly? First view of the elusive Shetland Islands. Very happy to see land.
It's not something that I normally do, but I'm about to take the courtesy flag down. Better late than never. We are now coming into Shetland. Never ever been here before, so actually quite excited. The sector light over there has guided us in really well. I've been asleep and Ash has made sure that we've got in here safely. And here we are.
We are always sad to leave somewhere that we love, but when one door closes, another one opens. And in this life, that means the adventure begins again.
Spoke for your sister.
I just noticed that. Good morning, Nina. We have made it in 40 hours from Norway to Shetlands.
We never take our safety at sea for granted. We are always so grateful when we return safely, especially after such a wonderful adventure to foreign shores. Please join us next time as we have a look around the wonderful town of Lerwick before jumping on a favourable forecast to take us across to the Hebrides. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Adventure Now and for following all of our Norwegian adventures this year. We really hope you have enjoyed it. Altor out.
I thought there were rabbits living on the island, judging by the shed. But here we are. Lots of little goats.